Schwinn wowed us with their 2020 lineup that included bikes with tapered head tubes, updated geometry, and some with one-by drivetrains. And then just a few months into 2020, they one-upped themselves with the Schwinn Axum, and then one-upped the one-up with the Axum DP. The entire 2020 lineup massively popular. It's 2021 now, and they're one-upping their one-ups from their one-ups because they have a new Axum DP. In this bike, it's going to turn heads and nullify arguments because it's not just a repaint, though the paint scheme alone would make it enticing. What makes this so special? Well, it starts with what they kept from the 2020 model, stuff that was already working, like the 720 by 31.8mm handlebars, the 60mm stem, and look, they brought the colored spacer to the DP model. They're the same lock-on grips, alloy brake levers, and the Axe trigger shifter, a brand that I was introduced to on the Axum. And I still get giddy when I see a dropper post remote as standard equipment, more so when I remember that this is sold at Walmart. And the tapered head tube, some said we would never see this on big box bikes. Well, here it is again, for the second year in a row. While the fork itself is still a straight steer, they improved these forks on many of the 2020 bikes, the Axum included, being a new offering. This has 100mm of travel, and it appears to be the same fork as on last year's model, just with a different look. It's glossy with silver trim. The wheels, as far as I can tell, identical with the same hubs, the 30mm double-walled alloy rims, and the 29 by 2.60 knobby tires. Big tires that fit perfectly on this bike, and it's the big wheel performance, along with that Axe-powered 1x8 drivetrain. Now, this is an 8-speed, with an 11 to 40-tooth cassette and a 30-tooth chainring up front, things we were told we would never see on a big box bike. But I guess they could point to the kickstand, though it's easily removable. An interesting note, I've had multiple bike shops tell me that their #1 most sold accessory for new mountain bikes? Yep, a kickstand. Mechanical disc brakes carry over from last year's model, and I had a few suspect this would have hydraulics, but these are still mechanicals with a 180mm rotor up front and a 160 at the rear. And both wheels are quick release. Another suspected feature was internal cable routing, but this is not internal, though it is neatly routed. Well, technically, the dropper cable is internally routed, and I'll be coming back to what you're probably already looking at hidden between those cables, but first the key feature and where the DP gets its name for the dropper post, the Exaform dropper post, the same as last year, and mine from 2020 still working great. And I've even endured the saddle, which looks good, but is not so uncomfortable that I rushed to replace it. It's still on my 2020 Axum. Now back to that frame, and the camera and the lighting, no matter how I film this, doesn't do this metallic red justice, nor the metallic blue trim. This is a well-built and capable frame. The difference for the 2021 Axum DP is that it comes in sizes, hence the M for medium. This is big news for big box bikes, and we had hints of this earlier because Pacific Cycle owns both Schwinn and Mongoose. And I recently reviewed the new Dolomite ALX, which comes in sized frames, and by the way, super awesome. Bringing sized frames to the Axum DP, that's almost hand-in-your-face style argument nullification. That was the one last thing that big box bike haters had that they could hold on to. And it goes even further because Schwinn didn't just cut down the frame to make a medium out of a large, they updated the geometry to match. This is available in two sizes on the new Axum DP, a medium and a large. And I measured the medium at 17 inches, and I already know the large to be 19 inches. And the bike I have is the medium frame, so that's what we're going to look at the specs of. First, let's talk about the head tube angle, because historically big box mountain bikes have had steep 71-degree head tube angles, and that was reduced to 70 degrees. Still steep, but arguably usable. Then in 2020, we saw that 69-degree head tube angle on the new Schwinns, which, by the way, is common on entry-level local bike shop mountain bikes. Don't let people tell you otherwise. Look it up for yourself. Yet, somehow, when Schwinn does it, it needs to be slacker. Okay, well, how about this Axum DP with its 67.8-degree head tube angle? And there are other updates to match this new medium frame, like the 42mm fork offset, the 112mm head tube length, 620 for the top tube, and 433 for the seat tube. The Axum and Axum DP already awesome bikes, but for me, this new sizing option on the Axum DP, it's welcome not just as a channel, but for me as a rider. The 19-inch frame of previous, it's usable for me, but right at my max tolerable level, 17 to 18-inch frames, that's where I have room to maneuver, where I can step on and off the saddle and over the top bar, and there's clearance. Precious clearance, and I've heard some say that standover isn't important, and to those people I say, you haven't ridden enough. Add a dropper post to a perfectly for me sized medium frame and the on and off takes on a whole new level of ease. And one of the most fun things is that I can hop up and the saddle follows me as I start pedaling. Shifting, I didn't adjust anything. This is how it worked out of the box. I have the full range, no drops or bad shifts. Quick and easy transitions through the entire gear range. Normally with slacker head tube angles, the trade-off is bad climbing, but with this well-proportioned frame and this 11 to 40 tooth gearing, it's very much within my comfort zone. The Axe drivetrain, it's only fair that I mention this, and you can probably hear it, it does get noisy, but I haven't had any ill effects from the noise, zero chain drops. The front suspension fork, not as noisy and definitely okay for entry-level mountain biking to have a little bit of fun. One side note, there is limited footage here. I'm down to one camera and no gimbal. I have new equipment arriving, but it didn't make it in time for this video, so I had to pick and choose, down to the footage that wasn't nausea-inducing. But I'll follow up with more ride footage in another video, so make sure you are subscribed. But you can see here that this is very agile for cross-country mountain bike trails, and the bottom bracket drop in the proper geometry. Because this is so well-spec'd, there's no bottoming out or pedal strikes. And look at this, if there were ever a time for me to be with limited equipment, with my cameras and gimbals dying, I don't have much footage, my favorite part of the trail, where I like to film the most, closed for renovations. To sum up the ride, and again, there will be much more footage on this bike coming, this has everything that I already liked about the Axum DP, plus now perfect frame sizing, which works better for me with this medium frame, and I think this is going to open this bike up to a lot more people. So if you don't fit on the 19-inch frame, the large, now there's the medium, 17-inch. For me, the better fit makes the dropper even more of a utility, literally it's an on-off switch. Schwinn has made some bold and aggressive moves with big box bikes in the last year, and this Axum DP, it accelerates that momentum. And most importantly, it opens the door for an already great bike to an even wider market, more riders. And in my opinion, undeniably justifiable as a great entry-level mountain bike for new riders with lots of room for people like me that like to build off of what's already there. And I'll cap this video off by reminding viewers of something I've said many times, kind of the mantra here. It's the bike's features and an affordable package that matters. It shouldn't matter where that comes from or what brand surprised you by making it. If it works for you, it's a good bike. So comment below with your thoughts. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Sized frames on the Schwinn Axum DP, impressive. Be sure you're subscribed and you have that notification bell active. Thanks for watching KevCentral. Have a great day.